With 64% of the UK now classed as overweight, and now over 500,000 people on GLP-1 drugs in this country alone, I wanted to know, is this just another shortcut? Or can it actually help people feel in control? I made a video previously about why I wanted to try mounjaro, but in short, I just wanted to feed back to my clients and also selfishly see if it can make me feel normal around eating food. As someone who's been overweight and struggled to lose it throughout my entire life, I feel like I'm in a constant battle between willpower and balance. Even losing a couple of pounds, couple of kilograms, it's been an absolute mission. And even though I've worked in fitness for many years helping people lose weight, and even with all the knowledge around losing weight, I've always found it difficult to manage my own weight. I've dieted, I've fasted, I've tracked calories to the gram, and yet food was always something that was in the back of my mind. I was always fixated on it. Even when I was eating, I was always thinking about the next meal or the next snack or the next thing that I could eat from the kitchen. So I know firsthand how difficult it is to actually lose the weight, and I wanted to see if mounjaro would help make that process easier. There were some things that took me by surprise, but here are what I experienced in my first 30 days of taking mounjaro. So during the 30 days, I only lost about 3.5 kilograms, which is roughly 7.8 pounds. Which isn't as drastic as some of the other reports that you hear when people first start taking it, they see extreme weight loss. Everyone's different when it comes to that. But what shocked me the most within the 30 days is by day 2, I was eating way less, not because I had to, but because a part of me subconsciously knew I wouldn't be able to eat and finish the portions that I would have had before taking mounjaro. On that second night for dinner, instead of having 2 salmon fillets and a full plate of veggies, I just took out one of the salmon and had a half of the portion of the veggies, and even doing that was a struggle. For the first time in my life, I was able to put food down and say no without fighting the urge to keep eating. This bag of cheese and chives crisps from Lidl has always been my nemesis, and on the first week, I bought some to put it to the test. All I managed was a couple of small handfuls before I had to put the bag away. Normally that bag would have been tanned in one day, but I'm pretty sure that bag lasted about 5 or 6 days before it was completely gone, which has got to be a world record for me. Throughout the 30 days, I was able to go full half days without thinking about food. It'd get to 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I'd be sitting going, I haven't eaten yet. It was as if that part of my brain had just shut off. I was able to go into shops on an empty stomach and not feel the need to go and buy absolutely everything in sight. I was able to walk down the sweets and the crisps aisle without feeling the urge and the temptation to pick things up on the go. I remember once walking into a shop and actually picking up a chocolate bar to buy and being like, you know what, it's alright, I'll deserve a wee treat, it's just a couple 100 calories. Took 3 steps in one direction to go buy it, and I thought, you know what, I don't actually need this. This isn't going to support my goals, and I put it back and walked away. Without that constant food noise in my head, I was able to make better choices. I had space to actually talk to myself and ask myself, is this going to support me? Do I actually need this? Which is a huge thing, because normally when it comes to buying things like that in the shops, we're just reacting. We pick up things, we buy things and we eat things without even knowing it, without even having that space to think about it. So this was an absolute game changer. I didn't really experience any side effects. You hear people saying, oh, I get nauseous or I get a bit of sickness. I didn't have any of that. I did notice my anxiety and stress levels on certain days were heightened. It could have been life stuff, it could have been mounjaro, it's hard to tell. By week 4 I did notice the cravings starting to come back, that food noise was coming back. But what I had built up was a knowledge of what it was like to eat and be full and not overdo it. So I carried that knowledge into it and I was still able to make smarter choices with my food. Through weeks 3 and 4 I did feel physically weaker. My lifts in the gym probably dropped 20 to 40% as I just wasn't eating enough to fuel those workouts. Some days it was tough to find the motivation to even go for a walk, but that's probably just a subconscious reaction to my body having way less food and it's wanting to preserve what it's got. The drug didn't make me lose massive weight overnight, but what it did give me was space. Space between the thought of food and the action of eating. It gave me a glimpse of what it was like to eat without the compulsion, and that's a powerful thing. But one thing I would say is that it's not a quick fix. Without learning to manage your nutrition, your exercise, your stress levels, your sleep, and everything else that you've got going on in your life, you still will lose the weight, but your quality of life will be less than ideal. With the drastic reduction in calories, you will lose weight, but if you're not prioritising things like your protein intake, your muscles will just atrophy, and you're just going to end up very, very skinny and very, very weak. And day-to-day tasks like climbing the stairs and carrying in the shopping is going to become that much more difficult. Without making any changes to your habits and your lifestyle behaviours, if you were to come off the drugs, you're just going to gain the weight right back. I see the use of these GLP-1 medications and drugs as a tool to help you learn how to manage your nutrition, your exercise, and everything else, because it's giving you more space to think. If you're not fixated on the food side of things and you're not constantly fighting hunger, you can focus that attention on these things. And naturally, it's going to give you a huge confidence boost as well. If you continue to see weight loss, you're going to naturally want to take the action on on these things that previously you might not have wanted to. Now, these drugs are just in their infancy. They're going to continue to come out, they're going to continue to get better and more people are going to take them. And that's absolutely fine, so long as these people are focusing on leveling up their nutrition, their exercise, and everything else that we just spoke about. As we know, nutrition is a huge part of losing weight, and if you're someone who's struggling to lose fat despite eating healthy, there is a reason for that. Just click here to find out.